So, Steven Pinker's The Blank Slate, 500 pages. I found it at a used bookstore for about $1. I know his newest book just came out not too long ago, Enlightenment Now. I didn't buy it because really I knew pretty much next to nothing about Steven Pinker. Knew nothing at all. I knew he was a scientist. I didn't even know what kind of scientist. But when I saw his name I want a book for $1, I'm like, sure, I'll buy it. And I read it one night because it was like, okay, I need a new book. I'll pick this one. Wow, this book is fantastic. This book is in my top 5. One of the best books I have ever read. For a few reasons, which I'll go through. Honestly, I can't think of any complaints I have with the book. Like, it was awesome. It's fantastic. For one, it's readable. It's talking about very high-level things. It's talking about science and our neuroscience, a lot of, references a lot of studies. Talks about very high-level things, but it's so readable. Like, any layman could read this. This is easily just a simple book to read, and it's not you don't get bored. It's very interesting. It doesn't ever keep you bored. And there's 500 pages too, which eventually you think you get bored, but no, he focuses on one topic, but he focuses also on so many subtopics. Keeps going from throughout these different subtopics that it still changes. That the topic changes enough that you don't get bored. So basically, there's all kinds of things in this book that I have picked up over the years. Like, a lot of this stuff I read, I already knew. Not all of it, but a significant amount of this I have heard before. I have learned this stuff. I picked it up over the years, bits and pieces here and there. And then when I read this book, I'm like, damn, I should have just read this book. 500 pages. Like, why didn't I just read this? This could have this came out in 2006. I could have gotten ahead of the game by reading this. Because what he does, he talks about the blank slate, tabula rasa, the theory that we are all a blank slate from birth, and everything is determined by environment. That this deals a lot of with behavioral psychology, the idea that if you take a child and a psychologist could take a child and pretty much make the child whatever he wanted. He can make the child a doctor, an engineer, a thief, a burglar. He could make him a neuroscientist. He could make him a mass murderer. He could make him whatever, because he can manipulate the environment around him. He could do whatever he wants to that child and turn the child into whatever, good or bad. And that's the prevailing theory of the blank slate, the myth of the noble savage, and all that stuff. And really what Steven Pinker goes through and says, no, this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. And not only is this idea wrong, but here are where other ideas are influenced by the blank slate. This is why they're wrong, because they rely on the blank slate. And this is why this idea is so dangerous. So it's a fantastic book. It covers everything related to the blank slate, which is surprisingly a lot of things. But so really, if you're not aware, it's the whole nature-nurture debate. The actual view of things is, right now, genetics, not environment, genetics, but plays roughly a 40 to 70% influence in who we are, as what our personalities are and all that stuff. And at the moment, the blank slate says it's 0. That's just not the case. We can, through twin studies, and for one, I judge a book by how many sources it has. I mean, that's not everything about a book, but there are so many sources in this book, that's a good sign. He doesn't just say, this is true because there was a study on it, or this is true because there were 2 studies. He says, this is true, here are 7 studies. that show my point. And it's a great book. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, he covers on all kinds of things. He talks about, again, the myth of the noble savage, which is the idea that, people like the Native Americans, people that we would consider barbarians, they were peaceful, they lived in, communist societies, they treated the environment well, they were one with the environment, they were nice, they were polite to each other, they valued life. And he's saying, no, this is not true at all. This is not true. In fact, there is no such thing as the noble savage. If you take societies like the Native American societies before the New World, or before we settled, I mean, these people were barbaric and incredibly savage and just killed everyone, burned down all these forests, and they were not good at all. Although he makes the point that it's okay, that doesn't mean it was good to massacre them. That doesn't mean they deserve to die, is one of the points he makes. Because this is something that Thomas Sowell mentioned, that I've mentioned 6 times already. It's a false dichotomy between either everyone is exactly the same, or some people are genetically superior and stuff like that. But honestly, I've gone way over time already. All I can say is I cannot recommend this book highly enough, because there's so much in it that if I were to go through and say all the good things, we'd be here for 20 minutes. So, to read the book. Honestly, read the book. Like, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's definitely in my top 5, probably in my top 3, if anything. But, no, it is great. But yeah, sorry for going overboard. There's a bit of a misnomer here. I haven't gone this long since, Saul Alinsky's Rule for Radicals book, or, review. But, like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.